Hey guys, so if you know me, you know I love to travel. And I've been to quite a few places around the US in the past few years, and Mexico once too. So I've kind of become a pretty good pro at flying. No, not really, but I kind of wanted to help anyone who may have never flown before. Maybe it's been a while or you just haven't flown very often. So a little backstory on me. I flew the first time when I was 14 and I flew into Disney World. Well, I didn't fly into Disney World. We had a private helicopter just drop us right in the middle of Main Street. No, I flew into Orlando and then went to Disney World when I was 14. Didn't fly again until I was 21. So that's a 7-year span of nothing. And obviously when I was 14, I didn't do anything. My mom and sister, got the flight, checked me in, everything like that. I just followed along, so I didn't know the process at all. So when I flew when I was 21, it was the first time I went to New York. I was freaking out, and it wasn't because of flying, it was because of the process of getting to that part. I just didn't know how to do anything, or I didn't know anything about any of it. So I kind of wanted to help any of you that may have been in the same shoes that I was in. I've flown quite a few times since then. Just in the past year and a half, I've been on 13 flights, and 8 of those I was by myself. So I feel like I've kind of learned a few tips and tricks for flying. So there's 8 of them that I thought of that might help some of you. I'm sure there's more tips out there, but this is something I hope will help any new amateur flyer or just someone who doesn't do it very often. And let's know a little bit more about flying. So let's just fly on into it. Okay. So the first thing that I would suggest you getting is something before you ever even get to the airport, and that is a luggage scale. Most airlines will weigh your luggage, and you have to be under a certain amount. For most of the time, I feel like it's 50 pounds, but I know some airlines will be 40 or even 35. I don't remember who was 35, but I remember there's I think it may have been Frontier, who don't fly with them, by the way, because they canceled my flight and just left me stranded. It was horrible. Anyway, I won't get into that though. So get a luggage scale. They're very accurate. It will help you, know how much your luggage weighs so you don't have any surprises at the airport. And if I were you, I would take the luggage scale with you, because normally on trips you buy a lot of souvenirs and you want to make sure your luggage doesn't get overpacked coming back. So just take like maybe 2 pounds and add it onto the weight, so you can add the luggage scale in, even though it probably doesn't weigh 2 pounds, just to be safe though. And that way you can have it on the way back. When I was looking them up on Amazon, they're like $8 or $10, so they're not expensive. I think I got mine for like $10 from Avon, and it included luggage tags as well, so it wasn't anything crazy. And they come in handy and you can use them for every trip, so it's definitely worth the $10. So the second thing is to research your airport, and that may sound weird, and I don't mean to look up when it opened or the history behind it. I mean, you can if you want. I don't really know how many airports have that big of a history, but so I'm from Texas, so the 2 major airports I live close-ish to is going to be in Dallas, and so it's DFW and Dallas Love Field. DFW is the largest airport in America, so it has 5 terminals and then, like 20-something gates probably in each terminal. It's really big. It's also an international airport, so it has like, I don't even know how many airlines. International, domestic, like most major airlines are there. Then there's Love Field. It has 3 airlines, 1 terminal. That's it. So obviously security for each is going to be really different. DFW security is a bunch of people going on a lot of different airlines. So you want to get there a little early. Even earlier than like the usual time they say. Love Field though is only 1 terminal, and it's 3 airlines. It's Southwest, Virgin, and I can't remember the third one. And I've been there before where even the security line was backed up, and I still got through in like 15 minutes. It's a really fast process. And it's a really small airport too, so you don't have to like search your way around to find your gate, And then you also have to take into account like parking. Like DFW, the parking is kind of confusing because there's all these parking garages for each terminal, and you have to it's really confusing. But then Love Field, of course, there's one parking garage, and they have a moving sidewalk that takes you directly into the airport. So it's like really easy to park there. And that's the main reason I love Love Field, because it is way more simple than dealing with DFW. And I love Southwest, but I'll get to that later. But research your airport. Think about how much time it might take to park. A lot of people don't take that into consideration. Think about how much time it'll take you to get through security. Try to figure out, like here in Orlando, you go through security and then you have to take like a tram to your terminal. So that adds on a little extra time. And you can usually, I noticed there was a website, I can't remember what it is, I'll link it below though. And you can go and look at wait times for the day, and like throughout the day, like what each wait time is going to be for security, like estimated. And that's kind of helpful too. So you can kind of know, depending on what time your flight flies out. So the third thing is to research your airline. And I just mean that, like, look at the reviews of it. Look at, its reputation. It's just important. You want to get on an airline you can trust and that you're comfortable with. And, there's several airlines that, like, made the news this year for treating passengers like crap. And it's just like, I think that was United. You all know what I'm talking about. It was around April, because I remember I was flying back from Orlando that day, and I'm like, I'm about to go on an airplane, but it wasn't United, so it was fine. So research your airline, make sure you get one that, you feel comfortable with. And I know, like, there's one airline, I think it's Delta, that leaves you sitting on the runway a lot, and then I've heard of another airline that cancels a lot, and that is Frontier, which is, I tried once, and it was terrible. They canceled our flight, and it was just basically like, good luck. I'm gonna go find a new one. It was intense. But yeah, research your airline, and then once you find an airline you really like, try to stick with it, simply because you'll be used to how they do things. They'll make you a little more comfortable, but also because you get points when you fly. So I have a point account with Southwest, and I've already gained about 10,000 points, and I didn't fly Southwest until last March was the first time. So within those 13 flights I've taken the past year and a half, most of them have been with Southwest, and I've gained 10,000 points from it. Most flights will be about like 17,000, so I still have a little ways to go, but it's still nice to know, like, they're constantly like adding on as I fly, and eventually I'll have a free flight out of it. So it kind of gives you like a little reward and stuff. So it's really nice to have that. And then also, should I tell you? Okay, I'm just gonna tell you. My airline of choice is Southwest, and there's several reasons why. One, they're always very clean. They're very trustworthy. They have a really good reputation. Their employees are like super fun. Usually when you fly, they're like cracking jokes over the PA system thing, like during the safety little spiel they have to do. Luggage is included in the price of the airline ticket, which I'll get to that in a minute, but that's really nice. You don't have to worry about buying luggage. You get free food and free drink on the flight. So you get, usually it's like peanuts and wheat thins, and then you can get like a Coke or water or Sprite or whatever. And that's really nice, because most airlines charge you up the butt for that. And I've always just had a very pleasant experience with Southwest. And then personally, Southwest flies out of out of Love Field, so I much prefer that airport. So Southwest for me is my favorite airline. They just have always exceeded every other airline that I've ever flown. And I've flown American, Spirit, Southwest, and then there was one I flew the first time I went to, or when I flew to Disney World. I can't remember which one it was though. Like American Eagle or something? I don't know. Doesn't matter. But, and then of course I tried to fly Frontier. And Southwest has always been like the best. American is good too though. Okay, so the next thing kind of includes the luggage I was talking about. When you are booking a flight, make sure you don't just look at the initial price, because, for example, Southwest includes luggage, Southwest includes food and everything. So if you were to look at like Spirit and Southwest, Spirit, even though it's a little cheaper, you have to pay, I think, $25 on the way, $25 on the way back if you have a checked bag. And then if you want to buy food or whatever, and you have to pay to pick your seat. So that's really an added $65 to $80 that you have to pay to fly, above whatever's already listed for the ticket price. Southwest, everything's included. So you kind of look into that, compare a couple airlines on how much you have to pay for luggage and stuff. It'll just be a lot more helpful for you in the end, so you don't end up overpaying for a crappy airline or whatever. That's just, that would suck. Everybody wants to save their money for the actual trip, not the getting there. So the next thing is to kind of make sure that you're dressed for either the plane being really hot or the plane being really cold. In my experience, that's how it is. You're either freezing or you're burning up. So when you first get on the airplane, it is going to be pretty warm because they're not going to have the air circulating. So my choice, and when I usually either wear shorts or shredded jeans, something kind of loose and comfortable, like boyfriend style jeans, a t-shirt, you want to be comfortable, and then I bring a sweater, that way if it does get cold. I would also suggest maybe bringing a hat in case your hair gets messed up, but that's just a personal thing. And the next thing is to make sure you have socks on you, because I can't tell you the amount of times I show up to the airport in Sanooks or flip-flops or gladiators or whatever, and I get to security and I'm like, crap, I'm about to have to walk on this nasty floor barefoot because I forgot to bring socks. It happens way more times than I like to admit. So make sure, even if you're not wearing shoes that require socks, that you have socks with you, because it's gonna suck if you have to walk on that airport floor, because you will have to take your shoes off for security, no matter what, unless you're under 12 or over 80 or something. And if you are, you're probably not watching my video. So yeah, make sure you have that. And then also, if you do wear shoes that aren't slip-ons, make sure they are easy to get on and off. You don't want to hold the line behind you. You don't want to be trying to get your shoe on quickly after you go through security. I'll wear ankle boots that just zip up and down, really easy to get on and off, or tennis shoes that you don't really have to untie to get on and off, whatever. So just try to kind of think about that when you're planning your shoes. So the next thing is to bring distractions. You want to have something that will entertain you, and I also mean this as not just distractions, but entertainment and medicine. So if you're someone who gets sick on airplanes, make sure you have medicine. I know my sisters take Dramamine most of the time. I personally don't get sick, which seems weird because I actually have really bad motion sickness, especially in cars. If I'm sitting in the back seat, I get so sick. But for some reason on airplanes, I just never get sick. The only time I feel a little sick is when you're either ascending or descending, and I think it's just the change of an elevation. But the last few times that I've flown, I haven't noticed that, so maybe my body's getting used to it, because I have flown quite a bit in the past year. And then also for entertainment, bring a book or a magazine, or you can download Netflix onto your phone now. That's awesome. I do suggest you get a portable phone charger though. That way you don't use up all your battery on the flight, and then when you land, you need to call an Uber or call your friend to pick you up, and you can't. You have a dead phone. So bring a portable charger if you're gonna watch Netflix. It makes things a lot easier. But I've downloaded movies or TV shows, and that's a lot of times what passes the time for me. I try to read, but it's just hard. I get distracted on airplanes. People are talking, or I don't know. I read sometimes too. It just kind of depends on my mood. Most of the time I watch Netflix. So just make sure you bring something that will kind of distract you. And then also a neck pillow. I just thought of that. I'm going to go ahead and add it in, because if you want to sleep, it's really hard to get comfortable in an airplane seat. So if you have a neck pillow, it'll just make things a lot easier. And they actually work really good. I've worn them several times on flights. I sleep like a baby. Of course, I can honestly sleep anywhere. So the next thing is to be prepared. And what I mean is, be prepared for anything to happen. So before you get on your flight, make sure you use the restroom. Make sure you have, either a full stomach or you have a snack with you, and make sure you have water, because I get really dehydrated on flights, and you never know what's going to happen once you get on that flight. You might get into the air and there'd be really bad turbulence and you have to stay in your seat the whole flight, and then you never get, you know, to get up and go to the restroom and you're like suffering. Or if you're on a plane that doesn't give you free snacks and drinks, you want to make sure you have that so you don't get super hungry or whatever. And then also, like, you know, maybe if you have a layover, the next flight could be delayed and then you're going to be sitting there wishing you had food, although you're in an airport, you can go buy some, but, you know. And then another example is, like, when I flew this past March from New York, there was a snowstorm coming in, and Southwest, like, boarded us really fast, and I didn't really know what was happening. And then we went and we sat on the runway for an hour, and it was because they had to get in line to de-ice the plane, and the airport was, like, getting close to canceling or delaying all flights. So they were trying to get us on the runway to get the plane de-iced and get us in the air before they told us we couldn't. So while it was annoying to sit there for an hour because it was kind of hot and everything, it was worth it to not have to be like sitting in an airport for 6 hours waiting on a delayed flight. So that's another example. You want to have food and drink and the restroom. You don't want to have to count on, like, oh, I can use the restroom when the plane gets in the air. I can order food, because usually when you're sitting on the runway, you can't get up. So make sure you're prepared for any situation. I usually try to have like beef jerky, water, and just use the restroom when I get on a plane. And that usually helps a lot. So the last thing is kind of more of a personal opinion, but if you want to know what I think the best seat of the plane is, the best seat is for sure the aisle seat. And let me make my argument before you argue with me. I know a lot of new flyers want the window seat. I always wanted the window seat when I first started flying, because you get to see out, you get to see land and take off, and that is really cool to see. I'm not gonna say it's not. However, let me just argue the aisle seat. Number one, you have more room, because unlike the window seat, you're not between a wall and a person. Unlike the middle seat, you're not between two people. You just have one person over here and then all this room in the aisle to just do whatever you want. And you can like lean and stretch your legs out in the aisle. You just have a lot more room. You have a lot more like stretching room. It's just a lot more comfortable. Two, when the plane does land and everyone stands up to get off, even though they still have to connect the door and everything, you can stand up and you can stretch. And if you do have like overhead luggage, you can get that out. Be prepared to get off. So when it is time for you to get off, it's a really easy, like, but you just walk off. You're already ready, instead of having to sit by the window seat and wait for everyone to move before you can get up. And third thing is, it's way easier to go to the restroom if you're on the aisle seat. So if you're window, you're gonna have to make two people get out of their seat. Everyone's gonna be looking at you. You're gonna go to the restroom, then you're gonna come back. Those people have to get up again, you know. And if you know them, it's not as big of a deal. But when it's strangers, it's just awkward. So aisle seat for the win. If you're not someone who cares about space, like if you're really thin or you just really don't care, or you don't use the restroom a lot, then I can see why you'd want the window. But personally, I like my space. I like being able to get off the plane quickly, and I like being able to pee anytime I want when the fasten seatbelt sign is off. Be safe, people. So yeah, so those are the 8 hacks for new flyers. I hope they help you in some way. These are just some things I thought of that I have learned in the last year and a half, 2 years, 3 years of flying a lot. Things that, you know, I wish I would have known back when I did start flying. And just to make your life a little bit easier. So if you enjoyed this video, give me one of these and hit subscribe. And if you want me to make a video for anyone who has never flown, and I will make it just for you, even if you're the only one that watches it, it's fine. If you've never flown and kind of want to know the process of it, just let me know. I wouldn't mind talking about that too. If you like travel videos and everything, I plan on making a lot more, especially me actually traveling instead of just sitting here talking about it. But I do want to talk about more of my stories of traveling and everything too. So if you're interested in any of that, go ahead and subscribe to me. Say hello, let me know any tips you have for airlines and airplanes. Why do I keep confusing all those words? And I'll see y'all in the next video. Alright, bye.